Okay, last few coming in. So welcome back, everyone. We're joined by Dr. Jorge Lopez and Dr. Mark Bevensey, who are the co-directors for the Masters in Biomedical Health Sciences program. So they're going to give you some information about the Masters program and how that might help you in your journey to professional school. So I'll hand it over to Dr. Bevensey and Lopez. Thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Well, and thank you for having us. It really is a pleasure to be here and to tell you a little bit about this program. We have a pretty short presentation here to give, and we really encourage you all to ask questions. I think most of the time you're doing this by chat, but we're also open to you guys going audio and asking your questions. So we encourage you to ask questions, and we can have a nice dialogue. So our program, Master of Science in Biomedical and Health Sciences program, this is a type of post-baccalaureate program. And for those of you who know what a post-bac program is, you know that these programs come in basically two different types. So you've got some programs that are only a year long, but you end up getting a certificate instead of an actual additional degree. And the advantage of those programs, of course, is that they're only a year long. So if you're in them to let's say increase your GPA, or for another reason you want to take just a one-year transition period from college to some graduate health professional program, then they're really good for that. But you don't get an additional degree. And then there are other post-bac programs that are 2 years long, and you end up with a master's degree usually. And of course, that's the advantage. The disadvantage is that, for a lot of students, 2 years is kind of a long time in that transition period. So the beauty of our program here is that it's really the best of both of those. So it's a single year program. It's actually 11 months more specifically, and you end up with a Master of Science degree. So it's a wonderful program for students who, again, are in that transition period between, let's say, college and going to various health professional programs like medical school or dental school or PA studies. And it's also really good for students who, maybe they've been out in the workforce for a number of years and they're thinking about a career change and they're interested in a health profession. And they want to get back into taking more advanced courses in preparation for that coursework. So our program is actually a collaborative program between two departments and two different schools. So the program is actually directed by and it's run by these two different departments, and they include Clinical and Diagnostic Sciences in the School of Health Professions, and then also the Department of Cell Developmental Integrated Biology in the School of Medicine. And so, as I mentioned, these two departments play a role in running the program and also in sharing in the responsibility of teaching. So we have faculty from both of these departments who are heavily involved in teaching the various courses. So I am really honored to work with two fantastic colleagues in the program. So my name is Mark Bevensey. I'm one of the program co-directors on the School of Medicine side. So I'm in the Department of CDIB. And then also Dr. Jorge Lopez, who is the other program co-director, and I have to apologize profusely because his rank here is incorrect. So he's actually an associate professor. He's in the School of Health Professions, also in the Department of Clinical and Diagnostic Sciences. And then we also have Kristen Bowen, who is our program manager. And Kristen actually was our former academic advisor as well, who played a major role in working with students in helping them along in the program and helping them with important professional skills.
I think
She still plays that role, or she still has that role as program manager. So she does a lot for our program and works very closely with our students. And again, she's in the Department of Clinical and Diagnostic Sciences as well. So the mission of our program is to provide quality education to prepare a diverse student body, not only for entry into, but also for success in various graduate health professional programs. And you can see them listed here in this first bullet point. Most of our students are going to be pre-med, pre-dental, or pre-PA. although we have had students interested in other professions that have joined our program, for example, optometry. And our program is really critically important, as you'll see in a few moments, for providing that pipeline of both academically and culturally competent healthcare providers that hopefully will practice in the state of Alabama or in surrounding states in the Southeast. But importantly, these students are really important for helping in medically underserved areas throughout the country and providing healthcare to those populations. So our program is actually the first post-baccalaureate program and pre-health program in the state of Alabama. And so why do we need this program? So we have learned over the years that, and I think most of us in education have seen that there are really a lot of fantastic, motivated students out there who have faced barriers in their progression to the career that they're interested in. And they have experienced both academic challenges as well as non-academic challenges. And so academic challenges, there are students who may feel like they could, it would be good if they could improve their GPA a little bit or improve their standardized test score for getting to the next level. And a lot of these students maybe in college realize that maybe the rigor of their high school education wasn't quite up to par, and so they found themselves struggling academically a bit. In terms of non-academic challenges, life happens. And we know that there are a lot of students out there who are juggling in college, not just their coursework, but also a lot of other serious responsibilities. Students have to work, sometimes for the family, sometimes to pay for their own education. And there just aren't enough hours in the day. And so sometimes academics can suffer. So our program can really help with this. So we can take students who, again, are really motivated, intelligent students who need that extra help in building their GPA and taking those more advanced courses in preparation for, again, entry into and success in various health professional programs. So our program started in 2015. That was the year of our first cohort. And before then, our state did not have any formalized post-baccalaureate pre-health professional program, which was a little bit surprising because there are actually over 200 of these throughout the country, a lot of them in the Southeast. And so now, again, starting in 2015, we are actually the first one, again, the first post-baccalaureate pre-professional program. And so why do we need this program? Well, our program is really important for this state. So as you can see in this map here and highlighted in the orange, in the pink, there are about 61 of our 67 counties that are what are known as medically underserved areas or populations, which means that there simply are not enough healthcare providers in those areas, which is really astounding and very unfortunate because there are a number of healthcare problems in our state. So deaths due to strokes, for example, are 64% higher than in the rest of the United States. And also in some parts of Alabama, especially in rural areas, cervical cancer is at a high, actually higher than what you see throughout the US. So we really need to increase our number of healthcare providers in our state. And the AANC a number of years ago did a study, and the results were very, very interesting and relevant to this discussion. And based on those results, it became really clear that when you attract individuals from underserved and underrepresented areas and populations, when they become healthcare providers, they are more likely to practice primary care. So they're actually more likely to return to their local communities and practice culturally competent care. And that would be so incredibly valuable for our state, as well as for surrounding states and other similar states in the country. So a little overview about our program. So this is our general overview. So it's an 11-month program, so 3 semesters long. And our program is unique in a number of respects. And I'll show you that in a slide in a moment. I think kind of at the top of the list is that we have an organ-based curriculum that is very rigorous. It's modeled after the medical school curriculum here. So it's organ-based in that when you learn an organ, you learn all the disciplines at the same time associated with that organ. So you cover anatomy and histology and physiology, and then areas more clinical. So you get into pathology as well as clinical correlations. So it's an excellent way to learn. It's an approach, a model that a lot of medical schools are using, as well as other health professional programs. So our program also promotes professional development, and this is really important for students who are in this transition and thinking about going into health professions. So we provide an enormous amount of academic and professional advising. We help students with things such as working on their writing skills. So we'll help them with a personal statement. We'll help them with oral communication, we'll help them prepare for interviews by doing mock interviews with students. And as you'll see in a few moments, we also spend a lot of time helping students really look hard at how they learn. And we encourage them to try different learning strategies that will help them not only learn material, but remember it over the long haul. And I see there are a number of chats coming in. So I'm happy to stop if I need to, because I can't see the chat function here. Let's see here.
If you would like for us to read the chats to you, Dr. Bevins.
I just opened it up. Let's see here. So I see there's one from Nia. Hi, Nia. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Do you want to share some thoughts about the program? It would be great to hear from you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I know you just started talking about like the curriculum and how it's based. And I guess one thing I'll just say is that this program does really prepare you for professional school. I know that they do the organ system classes the same way they end up doing in both medical and for me, dental school too. And so it really, you honestly, if you end up going to UAB, you even have some of the same lecturers and professors for the same classes as well. And it's just, it's a really good program. It really does help prepare you. And you get to see the material in a very similar way to how it'll be presented in professional school. So yeah, I definitely am an advocate for this program.
Thank you, Nia. And also thank you for answering one of the participants' questions here about enrolling in a post-bac program at a different university than you graduated from. Yeah, that really is not a problem at all. There's also mention here about, will it still affect your GPA? And if the student wants to go audio to ask maybe a bit more related to this question, I think maybe what you might be asking is, how does a post-bac program, how does that GPA kind of factor into your overall GPA, especially by a dental school or medical school and how they calculate it? And the answer to that is it really depends. So there are some medical schools, for example, that will separate those two out. They'll separate out the GPA, your undergraduate GPA from your graduate level or post-bac GPA. And then there are other schools that will actually combine them all into a single GPA. And then I do know that there are some schools, I know that there are some osteopathic schools that will, if I remember correctly, will take maybe the last 60 credit hours of coursework that you've taken in calculating your GPA. So there's a fair amount of flexibility there in what schools do. But certainly I will say that the post-bac programs in general are becoming more popular because people acknowledge that there's a lot of value here. And I think a lot of schools recognize that. So I would say regardless of whether or not your post-bac GPA is rolled into your overall GPA or not, there's still a lot of value in taking this program, especially from a GPA standpoint. Okay, so moving on here. So again, as I mentioned, our program is really designed to help students with their applications in preparation for various health professional programs. And at the top of the list here, most of our students are pre-med. I would say about 80% of our students are interested in either allopathic or osteopathic medicine. And then the remaining students are interested in either dentistry or physician assistant studies. So high points of our program. A lot of students don't realize that our program has a major advantage in that it actually includes the Kaplan test preparation course. So the cost of this is actually rolled into the tuition dollars. And we actually offer this course, or I should say this course is offered to you one of 2 semesters, usually through in a given year, and so that's a major part of our program. So for those of you who are interested in taking your the standardized test for the first time, this is going to help you, and it's also going to help those who've taken it once or more, and they want to improve their score. So as Nia already mentioned, a lot of the instructors also teach in the School of Medicine. So we have instructors from the School of Health Professions as well as the School of Medicine, and these are outstanding educators, and so you really get a first-class education, and kind of the diversity of the education from 2 different schools is a real plus. We have anatomy instruction that actually includes cadaveric dissection. This is another real strength. And so you actually will work with cadavers, and you'll be working with cadavers just like basically in the same facility as students in other professional programs. So in medical students as well as PA students. Now things are a little bit complicated right now in the era of COVID. There's obviously no in-person cadaveric dissection right now. And so right now this is temporarily on hold. However, we still do cover or teach anatomy, and there are lots of really outstanding resources, such as videos that we can use to cover this instruction. Courses use active learning techniques. This is really important. Evidence has shown that students learn a lot better when they're active participants in the process. And so yes, we have didactic lectures, but we also use a number of other teaching strategies to really help students with the material. And these strategies or techniques require students to be very proactive. So students will be engaged in team-based learning activities, problem-solving sessions, especially related to workshops. Students will give presentations, for example. So all of these things really help with you learning the material. And the final thing that is a high point is our program really works with students in helping you hone your learning strategies. So if you're in our program, we're really going to challenge you to assess how you learn. And this is what's known as metacognition, which is basically a fancy word for you kind of reassessing the techniques and the strategies that you use to learn material. And I can promise you, myself included, that all of us can kind of try and take advantage of a lot of strategies out there to learn material better. And so we will encourage you through examples to do that.
If I can interrupt for a second,
Sure.
we've got some questions coming in. If we can maybe stop and
Yeah.
take those questions. So.
All right, and Dr. Lopez, I don't want to leave you out of this at all, so feel free to chime in at any point here.
Thank you. No, I was just trying to address the questions in the chat where you were actually providing the information, whichever way. But I mean, sometimes I understand that it's easier to just ask the question rather than type it. So.
Right.
So Caitlin, do you want to go ahead and ask your question? I think you were first up.
Yeah, the question is if she can apply while she's in the last year of an undergraduate program, and the answer is yes, you can. However, you need to have earned your undergrad degree before you can actually start with our program. So.
Yeah, that's right.
But I mean, it can be done, but it's not very convenient sometimes.
And Annie had a question. Annie, do you want to unmute and ask yours?
That was Annie's question.
That was Annie's question. Yeah. So
I was going back to Caitlin. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So Annie, if you're finishing up your baccalaureate degree, and you're going to get it, let's say May of next year, so 2021, then you can actually, if you're interested in joining our program after you graduate, then you can actually, you can start applying, and I'll give you the dates at the end of this presentation. You can actually apply to our program in the spring of 2021. So in January, we're going to start accepting applications. So you can actually apply in January, and of course, if we accept you into the program, then the only requirement would be, as Dr. Lopez said, you'd have to make sure that you graduated and got your baccalaureate degree in May. But if that happened, then actually, yeah, you could start our program, which actually starts in June of next year.
So my last year, pretty much I will be I will have an extra year at UAB. Some of the immunology classes are either offered in the fall or spring, and I can't take it all however I want. It's just either in the fall or spring. So I can apply that last year that I'm at UAB of my undergrads, like in January.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, certainly. And so that's the timing there is fantastic, right? So you would my understanding is you would graduate with your immunology degree in May, and then if you had that extra year before you started applying to medical or dental school or whatever you're interested in, then yeah, during that year you could actually be in our program. And for one single year, you would take classes, you'd end up getting a master's degree, and depending upon what you think you need to do to improve your chances of getting to that next step, you could do it in our program, and we would work with you.
Thank you.
So, and also, and thank you for asking the question, Annie. I also want to highlight that we actually, our class sizes are pretty small. Like the most number of students we've had in our program in any given year is 42 students. And that actually is a real benefit. So we work really, really closely with the students in helping them, on an individual basis in figuring out, what they need in order to take that next step. So, there's the base curriculum and there's elective courses that students can take, but, and you have to do all of that, right, to graduate. But there's also kind of that professionalism component in the program where we work really closely with the students in helping them figure out exactly, what they think they need to do in order to look really good when they apply to various professional programs. Again, that could be to enhance their writing or their oral communication, or, we also, we have a network of opportunities for volunteering and for shadowing, and so we can work with students and using our contacts to help students land some of those positions as well. So there's lots of opportunities to kind of advance your application, if you will, in our program. Let's see. Jandalyn, did I pronounce that right? So Jandalyn asks, how has the program adjusted to COVID-19? So that's a really, really great question. We actually, we made the adjustment, last February or so. And what's interesting is February was our third semester of the program. And that's actually a challenging semester because in addition to having our last couple of organ-based courses, that's when we start also having more integrated courses. And those integrated courses require a lot more interaction with the students. We run a clinical application and simulation course. Actually, Dr. McNicholas heads that. And so in the past, that's been linked to students working through simulations and in person actually working with mannequins. And then we also started a new course that semester that was also very integration based, that was headed by Dr. Lopez. And so those two courses required a lot of interaction. And it turns out that when we did this virtually, it worked out incredibly well. It certainly was a lot of work for the directors and the co-directors to put this together, and so kudos to them. But they did a fantastic job in covering this material and also getting students to engage and interact. And they actually got an enormous amount out of it. And so what that taught us is that by virtual learning and education, we can actually cover all of this material in a very effective way. And we still have lots of interaction with the students, and we get them to be very proactive in their learning. So it's actually worked out extremely well. And actually, I'll turn it over to Dr. McNicholas and Dr. Lopez if they want to add some more about how they felt those courses worked.
I think from Dr. Lopez, if you want to unmute as well, from our perspective, we thought we had 1 week to transition to put a simulation course online. So that was challenging, but I think, I don't know if Alyssa or Brooklyn are on the call, but from our perspective, we thought it was great. But I mean, it wasn't the same as an in-person session, but we really felt that, we were able to transition pretty well. Do you agree, Dr. Lopez?
Yeah, I think that I think that, like Dr. Bevensey said, Dr. Manicolas did a great job just transitioning, and I mean, we ended up calling it telehealth because that was basically what we were doing. It's like when you call in now to the doctor and say, hey, I have these symptoms and I'm feeling this way, and they treat you. If it is not something urgent, they'll treat you, right, like over the phone or whatnot. And that was basically what Dr. Manicolas actually accomplished. It was really unbelievable. It was great opportunity for everybody to integrate the content. And I think that we handled it pretty well. The only thing that I would like to add is that with COVID, we haven't lost anything other than our anatomy on cadaver experience for this year. That's the only hands-on activity that we have not been able to, and for obvious reasons, to translate into the virtual environment. But everything else, I think, again, we've been pretty successful.
Yeah, and the students are also you're gonna get an experience of telehealth too. We're gonna do a simulation similar to what we did in our course, and also standardized patient interviews too. So you're gonna get an experience similar to what our students had last semester. So I think it'll be good.
Great, thank you guys. So this is our program overview in terms of the courses. And so it's a 3-semester program. You would actually start in the summer. And so for those of you who are like Annie, if you're graduating, let's say in May, then unfortunately you're not going to get much of a summer break after graduation. The summer semester starts normally the first Friday in June, which is our orientation date. So in the first semester, you take 9 to 12 credit hours, and you take 2 courses, and you don't take these at the same time. They're actually sequential. So you take molecules and cells, which our current students are taking right now, and then you move into microbiology and immunology. So these are what we call our kind of our foundational courses. And so these provide that kind of intrinsic foundational material that then students will use in learning about the various organ systems in subsequent semesters. So also in the summer semester, you take Seminar 1, and Seminar 1, we're putting a lot of emphasis on students with professional development, study strategies, time management, these sorts of things. And as I mentioned, there's also the Kaplan Test Prep program. This year, we offer it either in the summer or in the fall. So students actually have the choice of taking that Kaplan Test Prep one of those 2 semesters. So in the second semester, that's going to be the fall now. This is when students start moving into the more integrated organ-based courses. So they'll start with neuroendocrinology, then they'll move into cardiopulmonary, which is headed by Dr. Lopez and Dr. McNicholas together, both of which are online here. And then Integrated Systems 3, the genitourinary course, that's the last organ-based course that students take that fall. They'll take Seminar 2, and then also, as I mentioned, they will have the option of, if they didn't take their test prep course in the summer, then they could take it in the fall, at least for this year. And then the final semester, as I mentioned, is a really exciting semester. It's chock full of great experiences. So in addition to students finishing up the organ-based courses with gastroenterology, as well as musculoskeletal skin, then students take a couple of integrated courses, so clinical application and simulation that we just talked about. And then this is a relatively new capstone course called Integrating Basic and Clinical Sciences, which actually is one of those courses that runs the entire semester. And it's a wonderful opportunity. Dr. Lopez has done a fantastic job putting this together. This course forces students to kind of revisit and relearn the fundamental material in the organ-based courses, but then in addition to bring in knowledge, new knowledge in the areas of pharmacology as well as toxicology. And students are able to put all this together in solving clinical cases and learning more about not only health, but also disease states. So it's just a great way to finish up the program. And so I'll also mention that we have electives that students have to take. Not a lot, so students have to take 3 electives, 3 credit hours of electives. And there are lots of great courses that students can take to fulfill this requirement. Popular ones are first aid, let's see, a online biochemistry course for those of you who need to kind of beef up your biochemistry, especially for the MCAT, and basically any graduate level course, as long as it's related to health in our program and it's a graduate level one, those are options for you. So, and of course, we can advise you on which ones you might be interested in. So we always get asked about our program success. So you can see over the years, the number of applicants to our program have, for the most part, steadily increased. We've also seen a steady increase in the number of accepted students into our program, higher than our original projections. And you can see that our students overall do well in our program. Average GPA is around a 3.5. And what that means is students get about half A's and half B's in the courses. And another marker of success is the fact that our students, our graduates, end up getting accepted into various professional programs. Most of our students graduate. We have very few withdrawals. And you can see that the percent accepted is actually quite high. So the first 3 years of the program, between 68 to 79% of our students end up getting into professional schools. The numbers are lower for the last 2 years, not surprising, because these students are either in the process of applying to, or they're still planning on applying to various programs. And of course, as I mentioned, most of our students are pre-med, so not surprising. Of our pre-med students, a lot of them are getting into various medical schools. And these are really top-notch schools. For example, UAB, as far away as UCLA, and schools in other states. So Emory University, University of Mississippi. So again, we're really proud of our students getting into these universities. And I don't want to leave out dental students as well. So our students are getting accepted into UAB's dental school. Tufts University has been very supportive of our students. I think they've accepted 3, maybe 4 of our alums, and so we're really encouraged by that. And in 2018-19, we were really excited because that was the year where actually 15 of our alums, not all from the same year, but 15 of them were actually first-year students that year in various UAB professional schools. So 10 of them were in the medical school class, 1 was in the dental school class, and the remaining 4 were in PA studies. So very, very proud of them. So we also have affiliations with other programs here on campus and off campus as well. So we get typically asked, well, there are professional schools at UAB, there's medical school, there's dental school. Do we have some kind of connection with those schools so that if a student in our program graduates, will they automatically get acceptance into medical school or dental school? And the short answer to that is no. So all of these programs are distinct and they are different. And so you still have to go through the application process, just like students outside of our program or outside of UAB. Having said that, our program has really grown, and its success is well, students programs know about the success of our program, and so we'd like to think that gives our alums an edge, but again, there are really no guarantees about that. So having said that, we do have affiliations. So for example, the School of Health Professions, the PA program does reserve a select number of slots for our alums, our students who have graduated, who are academically strong and who are competitive. The School of Medicine, we've had a pipeline program in place for a number of years, and this last year it was changed to the Blaze to MD program. So this is a program that is really driven by the School of Medicine, and the way it works is you apply to medical school there, and UASOM admissions will select certain candidates or applicants. And if they are competitive applicants who meet our mission, then, for example, being from an underrepresented population, then if they're accepted into the program, then they will be guaranteed acceptance into next year's medical school class if they successfully complete the requirements of the BHS program. And for example, have a minimum predetermined GPA. And so this program This last year, we had a number of students apply to this program, and so it was really successful. And actually, the School of Medicine has a separate interview day for these Blaze to MD candidates. And so this program is really taking off. Again, this is a program that you would only be considered for if you apply to that medical school. And then finally, we've also reached out to other universities, for example, Alabama College of Osteopathic Medicine, or ACOM. So we currently have a memorandum of understanding, an MOU with them, where they will give our students priority interview if our students meet a certain minimum GPA of a 3.3 and an MCAT of a 501. And also they'll give students legacy status, which is a guaranteed interview for our students, those students who we recommend. So we have a nice connection with ACOM, and that sort of connection will really help any of our students interested in osteopathic medicine. And we're working on similar sorts of pipeline programs and affiliations with other institutions as well. Lots of chats, right? So I just lost my screen share.
I'm trying to address the chat.
Okay, you're handling that, Dr. Lopez?
Yes, sir. I'm trying to do that so we don't.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Feel free to interrupt me if need be.
Actually, just one thing, please, I don't remember if we're gonna be covering the cost of the program. So, but
sure. Yeah, so the cost of the program is, and this is going to be an average here. So basically, the tuition cost is based on the cost per credit hour, and I don't know exactly what it is right now. And then there are also fees associated with some of the courses. On average, I would say the cost of the program is about $20,000, in that range for the year, for the 11-month program.
That's just to clarify, that's in-state though, right?
Thank you. That's for in-state students. For out-of-state students, it's about twice as much. However, be aware that there is academic common market, so that there are states, in the surrounding Alabama area here, where with common market, even if you're from that state, and it's out of state, you will get in-state tuition. So you would have to, if you are out of state, then you're interested in that, or you're interested in our program, definitely reach out to us, and we can talk with you further about that. So the other great thing about our program that we really highlight is our diversity. And so a major component of our program is, again, to attract students from underrepresented areas and populations. And that's really important to us. And that's a major mission. And so our current class of 36 students, 13 of our students are underrepresented minorities, another 15 are ethnic minorities. Most of these students are actually Alabama residents. Usually we have a higher percentage of out-of-state residents. We're thinking that our Alabama residents are so high this year, a lot of that may be related to COVID. As I mentioned, most of our students are pre-med. This year we have a pre-PA student as well as 4 pre-dental students. And you can see the schools that these individuals are from. Our entering average GPA, the overall GPA is a 3.5, a little bit higher than the mean for the first 5 years of our program, which is about 3.4. And our average undergraduate science GPA is a 3.33, and a little bit higher than in the past, which is about a 3.2. Our average test scores for MCAT, 499. DAT, which has been steadily rising over the years, is 19. And then our GRE is 152, 153. So admission requirements. So you have to have a baccalaureate degree. You have to have a minimum undergraduate GPA of a 3.0. Whoops. And also a minimum science GPA of a 3.0 as well. Now, I do want to say that if your GPA is lower than a 3.0 and you feel like you have a strong application, you should definitely apply to our program still. Because one thing that we do is we will look at the number of credit hours that has gone into this 3.0 calculation, and we will factor in with the courses in our program, how much would that raise your overall GPA? And if that were to raise it to a competitive level, then we will certainly consider you for our program, especially if other components of your application are strong. So we also require you to submit a standardized test score, and you can see all the ones that we accept. As I mentioned, for our enrolled students for their first 5 years, our mean MCAT is 496, a little bit higher this year. The mean DAT is 19, and our mean GRE is 149, 149, at least for the first 5 years. Again, it's a little bit higher for this past year. Now, I do want to emphasize something really important. You do not want to take your MCAT, for example, and this is probably also true for your DAT, more times than you have to. Okay, so you really don't want to take it more than twice if you can avoid it. And so for that reason, if you're not ready to take the MCAT and when you're applying to our program, please do not take the MCAT. And we don't want you to blow one of your chances, for example. Reach out to us, contact us, and talk about the best strategy here. We will likely tell you to take, for example, the GRE. And that way you can kind of save your 2 shots at the MCAT. And again, we can't emphasize this enough. Wherever you are in your path to going to medical school, for example, if you're not ready to take the MCAT, please don't do it. Go ahead and take a test prep program, study, use various techniques and resources to get ready for that MCAT. But please don't take it prematurely just because you think, oh, because of timing, you have to take it. So other admission requirements, we do have prerequisite courses that we ask of you. These are pretty standard. You would have to do this for a lot of professional programs anyway. So these include 2 semesters of general chemistry, 2 of general biology, and then another 4 credit hours of some other biology. And that other biology could be genetics or molecular biology. There's a host of ones that you could take, as long as the course is linked to biology and linked to our program, then you're going to be in good shape. And sometimes we have students who have not taken biology, but they've taken anatomy and physiology, and we will count that as a substitute. So key dates for the 2021 cycle. So this would be for next year's cohort or class that would start in June of 2021. So our application cycle is going to open around January of 2021, so the beginning of the year. You will apply through the UAB Graduate School, so you will use their online submission system, and you have until March 15th to get your application material in. We will start interviewing starting in March, and we will probably interview all the way into May. And our first day of class is going to be in early June, as I mentioned. Usually the first Friday of the month, we have an orientation, and then the actual classes will start the following Monday. If you want more information, please visit our website. There's an enormous amount of information on this website, basically all the material that's been covered in this presentation and more. And also our program manager is another fantastic contact. So Kristen Bowen, here's her email address and here's her phone number. And again, she's available if you have any questions. If you want to talk more about your particular situation, she can work to schedule a meeting with us as co-directors, and we can talk about your situation and how we can help you get to that next step. Because again, we really are excited and we really are enthusiastic about helping all students, not just students who get into our program, but again, students who are in that transition period. So any advice that we can give, we're more than willing and happy to do so. So please reach out to us if you want to get some kind of personal advice. And with that, I think that's the last slide, and we will be happy to answer any additional questions. Did I get them all in chat?
I'm trying.
Wow.
I just wanted to tell you guys something. I don't know if you've been made aware that applying to medical and some other of those graduate professional schools require more than just a good GPA. And truly, that's the beauty of our program, is that will work on not only your GPA, your professional development, but also on trying to coach you to leveling out all of the components that you require to actually go and be a good candidate, okay? Become a good applicant. But if you have not done so already, you need to go back and start looking for all of those things: shadowing, medical experiences, volunteering, leadership positions, all those kind of activities that you are gonna require to get into medical and dental school. Just wanted to add that.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Lopez. That's a really important point.
If we have no other questions, my dog's barking like mad in the background. But if no one has any other questions right now, there can be more questions asked later if you think of something after the fact. And just, I've worked with the course since, actually I was on the committee that designed the course in the first place, so it's near and dear to my heart. So we'll welcome any questions after the session's ended as well. So just let us know, and I'm sure Dr. Bevensey and Lopez are available to answer questions, and maybe we can post your emails as well to if there are questions that need to be directed straight to you.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, at any point in time too, you know, it doesn't have to be around this time. If, you know, a year from now you have some questions, all you have to do is email one of us and say, hey, I heard this presentation when I was in the program, and, you know, I have some questions about my application. We'll be more than happy to help if we can.
There was also a second part to one of the students' questions. I don't know if it was answered, where he asked, also alongside the enrichment program, do current post-bac students pursue research, or do they solely focus on this program?
You mean when they're in our program?
Yes.
Yeah, so that is an opportunity. So as I mentioned, you know, we actually have a database of you know, research opportunities, community service opportunities, medical exposure opportunities, shadowing, these sorts of things that we use to help students, you know, select those activities if they need it. Research is another one as well. Now, we're not a research-based program. So what we don't want is, we don't want students coming in and investing 40 hours a week doing research and jeopardizing their academics and other aspects of the program. Having said that, we do have students who really are interested in research, and you know, that does help with medical school applications or other sorts of applications. And so you know, we in the program have a lot of ties with people in school health professions, school of medicine, and so we can work with that student and reach out and help them identify research opportunities. But we're always really cautious with that, because again, I'm a researcher. Dr. Lopez is, Dr. McNicholas, Dr. Lopez, we're all researchers, and so we know how time-consuming that can be, and so we want to be careful with that. So we're again working closely with a student and figuring out just what they need and how much is the way to go. We do that well.
And if I can also interject, so when you finally get to the point of doing an application and going through interview, if you're not successful in the interview, get feedback. And some of our students have joined the program following feedback from the admissions committee that tell them that they may want to bolster their academic credentials, or show that they, as you mentioned before, show that you can actually handle the kind of material, because they know that the level that we teach it to is representative of the professional schools. And did someone asked about PT? Did that get answered in the chat as well?
Oh, I didn't see that.
I answered that, and my answer was, and it's very similar to the one that we have given for research. If you want to go and do research, our program perhaps is not the best choice. If you like to go to medical school but do some research, then our program is a good choice. Same for PT. If you want to go to PT, you are better off going to a master in PT, right? It makes more sense. Now, if you are undecided and you want to go perhaps to both, you don't know if you want to go to medical school or to PT, well, perhaps our program is a better choice. See, so it depends on, you know, what are you pursuing? So that's something that you guys need to figure out. Do I want to keep an open profile, or do I want to show that I have followed the guidance and I'm married to this one profession?
We also have optometry, pre-optometry students too. I'm pretty certain in the past we've had optometry students graduate.
Mhm.
Yeah, there is one girl from my cohort. She's just now starting, or she just finished her first year, starting her second year at UAB Optometry School too, and she was in my cohort as well. So,
Remind me the name.
Brittany Martin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, I know there's somebody and I couldn't think. So.
Yeah.
In our next newsletter, she's actually going to be featured.
Oh, nice. That's nice.
Mhm.
Yeah, I still talk to her. And that's another thing, like, because like I know he mentioned the cohort size is small, and so you do get to, know all the people in your cohort very well, and you make friendships with everybody. And so, I still talk to several people from our cohort, even in different disciplines. Like I'm in the dental school, but I've got friends still from my cohort in the med school, then Brittany in optometry, and then even some people, we had some PA people in our year too. So you still talk to people and keep up with them even after the program's over. So it's a nice little kind of family.
Yeah, and one extra year, a transition year, getting into the school of your choice, your dream school. I mean, it's totally worth it. I mean, 20 years from now, when you're a practicing physician and you look back, that one extra year, you're going to realize really time-wise really didn't matter at all. But what you gain from that 1 year in, again, professional development, getting ready to handle medical school, getting coursework ahead of time, to prepare you. I mean, that's invaluable. I mean, that's going to make your medical experience, much more manageable, much, you're going to be happier in medical school. And on top of it, you end up with an additional degree as well. So you have a master's degree. So, if you don't need a program like this and hey, if I apply to medical school or dental school, I'm going to get in, then by all means do that. We fully support that. But if you're on the fence and you're thinking you need an extra year for whatever reason, I mean, this is a great program to think about.
Okay. Well, we're about out of time, so thank you very much again, Dr. Bevensey and Lopez, for joining us today. I'm sure there'll be more questions afterwards, so we'll continue to those. But for now, thank you very much for taking the time. And for the students, we're going to start our next session in now. So we'll initiate the next session just after we close this one out. But thanks again for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us. We really enjoyed it.
All right.
Thanks for having us. Good luck.
Bye,
guys.
everybody. Best of luck to you.
Thank you very much. See you later.